Sup guys, it's Dakota Fisherman here. And of course, I wanted to go over, well, all of my rallies. Every single thing I've ever trapped prior to 2019. And I thought, what a good way to kind of get a feel for trapping. For those of you guys out there that I have not trapped, rally trapped, solo trapped, you name it, right? I wanted to kind of go over and kind of look at some of my old trap reports. Now, I know some people were asking, like, how do you rally trap without getting reds? The answer is usually probably not, especially Mythic. Now, I can say that it's not impossible, right? You can see here, 1 million to 700k. Oh, it didn't work out so well in that one, right? But then you look here, 413 to 818. Hey, that's not so bad, right? Now, of course, looking back, there's some reports like this where it's 992 to 0. And you're like, what? What's different? I don't understand. Okay, look. Okay. Drakes, range. Drakes, range. Drakes, range. Okay. Main thing is, at least when I was doing this troop composition, 1.1 million, 400k. Or 4 mil, my bad. Okay, the way this worked, and the reason why this worked, okay, is that I was in the counter phalanx. That is the only reason why. Granted, I could have been in any one particular formation, but I just happened to be in war gear, had decent stats, had it set up for range stats, okay? So that means when I went into my talents, I had all of my range gear, all of my range stats, and everything up as high as possible, and I went into a range wedge. And that was what produced that result, okay? Now, what about this one, okay? Again, 618, but no reds, right? So you're wondering, well, okay, what did you do differently here? Well, this is 1.1 and 1.2 million. And again, I don't have a million tier 4 here. I have 813, 886, and 793. So under those circumstances, you would start to wonder how in the living hell did you do that? That is probably what everyone in this world is probably asked. And I will answer with the simple request that you look at it this way. Okay, when you are rallying somebody, you always want to, kind of avoid a circumstance, right? Now, mind you, I don't have any reinforcements here, just to clear that up, okay? But you can see I've got mostly army attack heroes. That's a big key. Army attack and army HP and army defense are like super useful if you're going to be trapping like that, okay? But one thing that you'll notice is that, again, it's a cav phalanx and an inf wedge. So how exactly did you defend that? Well, you got to understand it that when this guy is going cav phalanx, right, and I go into inf wedge, right, what is going on there? Okay, and this is part of the reason why I swap around with wedges, okay, is that when you really want to look at it, okay, the cool thing about wedges in this game is that wedges kind of give you this power to kind of dictate, right, how that troop composition is going to turn out. It's a little bit weird though, right, because you look at this and you go, well, what the heck? If you're an infantry wedge, that means you're hitting infantry, right? And you are, but you also have to think of, okay, in a cav phalanx, you got cavalry in the front, range in the back, and then infantry, right? Well, in this case, he had range and cav, that's it. So if I had gone in inf phalanx, what would have probably have happened is my cavalry, okay, to infantry ratio here, it would have sucked horribly, right? So by swapping to an inf wedge, my range are going to get a little bit sooner to that cavalry march. Now, yeah, it's not where I want it to be, right? But the benefit of that is that when I've done so, that range that they've got is now hitting range. So it kind of taps out. It's not so bad, right? Where this, it's cav and range, which would not have been so great, okay? Now, granted, frankly, inf wedges are probably not, any wedge for that matter, probably not necessary. You're probably best in a phalanx and just picking a single troop type. But you'll find that oftentimes, even in the cases where I was in counter, I was just abusing the fact that, in a wedge, you have control when it comes to how and when those troops are going to come and landing. And obviously, in an inf phalanx like this, right, there's no infantry, or barely any infantry, and it's mostly cavalry, so it kind of kneels out the purpose of the phalanx, and it kind of makes more sense to use a range phalanx in in those kind of situations. Now, having that said, right, again, these are some of my old reports. Like here, you got 2.3 million. Okay, 950K dead. But again, more or less the same deal. 1.5 million or so fighters, and yet I went into range. And you think, well, that doesn't sound like a really great idea. Why did that work as well as it did? Well, it always boils down to the troop composition. If the troop comp is as good as it is, it usually doesn't falter very much. And in this case, because I had, some extra range reinforcements, in this case wouldn't have done me very much. But what that kind of gives me access to in normal circumstances is just a little bit more in places that I need. And well, frankly, because of the infirm capacity that I have, I get lucky and I don't actually lose any reds. Now, part of the reason why that worked as well as it does, right, and this is what I would recommend for any rally trap for that matter, is that you guys probably, if you haven't already, make as many infirmaries as you can, and then you need to go over and you need to get yourself, and this is what I would say is maybe most vital, but get Mole Shaman and get his infirm capacity boost. All right, and then I would also recommend that you go after Strix and get a hold of her infirm healing speed. It makes it a lot cheaper and a lot easier. All right, now having that said, the next thing on that list of things that you should probably do, if you haven't already, is that, well, although I've never been able to do this, and if I ever do choose to do it, okay, what I would recommend is go into Wonder Battles, and once again, get the bigger infirm boost, because there is another 7% in there, dude. That's nuts. That is nuts, okay? If you guys don't realize how big of a deal that is an enormous chunk of troops that you can save. So I really, really recommend, if you're going to get started rally trapping now, get this research started. And I know it's expensive, because obviously you've got to take into consideration that it does take tomes to get that, okay? But not only is it going to be useful for trapping, but it's also going to be useful because then you can get the wonder bonus. And this right here is kicking people's butt everywhere when it comes to Wonder War right now. And frankly, if you haven't already, I really, really recommend rally leads out there start picking up on this research as soon as freaking possible. Because holy mackerel, I can't tell you how much of a deal it would be to have an army size boost of 500k extra compared to, say, the standard 2.375. Like, if you can approach 2.8 million troops, that's an enormous advantage that you have over someone else, especially if you can tack on the Mecha Trojan ability with 125k extra. Granted that this is 18k escorts, so it's not cheap, but it would still put you at a far bigger advantage than those that don't. Now, having that said, I hope you guys learned a thing or two, but if there's anything to say about what I have for 2019, it's that yes, I have seen and lost my fair share in troops. And this is my only warning to those of you out there that are going to rally trap. By God, you better be ready, because anything can happen, and anything will and can happen, especially if you are taking multiple rallies at a time. And where you can see I started to mess up is that I started to eat marches when I really shouldn't have. When you've only got 800k, you really shouldn't be starting. But if you are, just know that the secret soft spot really is somewhere around 4 million and then 1.5 million in this category. And if you don't, you need to make up for it in troop reinforcements, or otherwise it's going to hurt. Now, having that said, I really do hopefully have inspired some of you guys to kind of join on the journey of rally trapping, because I don't want that to discourage you, but I will warn you, it is an expensive task at hand if you do proceed. Needless to say, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.